So morning everyone and welcome to the latest edition in our webinar series. My name is Chris. I'm the Commercial Director here at Ometis and I'll be your host for today. In today's session we're going to be covering smarter financial planning. So that's a nice intro course or intro session into Jedox, which we deliver through our enterprise management team here at Ometis. Next slide please. Cool. So just a bit of housekeeping. This session will be recorded and we will be putting it on our website and social channels. Joining the session, if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A functionality to raise those. If they're relevant, I'll ask it during the call. If not, we'll save it to the end and we'll group them all together as part of that. If you are happy to come off mute during the Q&A, please feel free to raise your hand and we will ask you to ask those questions at those points as well. Next slide, please. So today I'm joined by Michael and Shahrear, who have come from Jedox, and they will help me position Jedox and demo the solution here today. I'll just remind people this is an intro demo, so please bear in mind we're showing you the tip of the iceberg. And if you are interested, please do feel free to reach out after the session, and we'll be welcome to set up a bespoke demo and session going forwards as well. Before we get started, I'll just intro Ometis for those that are new. So Ometis are an elite partner for Jedox, Click, and Infinity here in the UK. We've got on average around about 250 customers at the moment, and that's growing. We specialize across 4 different verticals, so financial services, manufacturing, hospitality, and higher education. But we do have customers in other industries as well. More recently, we acquired a company called Tahola, and as part of that came across an enterprise management planning team who's headed up by Julian here at the business. We offer a wide range of services, consultancy, development. We've got a UK dedicated support desk and also training to go alongside that. And as you can see, some of our focused technology partners are listed there at the bottom. And for this particular session, as I mentioned before, we will be focused on Jedox. And on that point, I will hand over to you, Michael, to start positioning.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I just want to start off by setting the scene today and highlighting some of the issues that we're facing and just how volatile the business landscape has become recently, and why adaptability, especially in terms of planning, is now essential for business survival and not just a nice to have. So if we think about some of the disruptions that we've all witnessed in recent years, and you can see a few examples on screen here, of course, Brexit, and more recently the US tariff situation, which is reshaping global trade flows in ways that no one can really predict. Before that, we had COVID-19, which forced entire industries to rewrite their playbooks overnight. And then, of course, we have freak accidents like the Suez Canal blockage, which stranded billions in global trade. And the companies with agile supply chains managed to pivot very quickly, while others faced months of delay and major issues. And I guess the point I'm trying to get across is that these aren't just isolated incidents anymore. They're becoming the new normal. And in this environment, businesses that are sticking to rigid annual planning cycles in Excel are, they're at a massive disadvantage. And the winners are those who can adapt in real time, using integrated planning to turn uncertainty into opportunity. And that's exactly what we're going to try to explore today during the demo. And we're going to try to showcase how agile planning isn't just a strategy, but more of a necessity for businesses that want to grow in this volatile market. So let me just go to the next slide. I just want to start off by giving you a bit of a quick background into Jedox. We are a planning solution. We've been around for over 20 years, headquarters in Germany. Fast forward today, we've earned recognition as a leader in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for FP&A solutions. And looking on a local level in the UK, we actually work with over 150 customers, and most of whom are actually onboarded by our regional partner, just like Ometis and Tahola. And this is exactly why our partners are so important to us at Jedox. They deliver the solutions for our customers while we focus on developing and providing the technology to make it all possible. So I just want to take a moment to discuss how businesses typically manage their financial data and reporting. And currently, many businesses use accounting systems like ERPs to store both their current and historical financial data. And these systems are great at maintaining records and ensuring that all the financial transactions are logged correctly. For reporting analysis, businesses often turn to business intelligence solutions such as Click or Excel. And these tools are great for allowing companies to make reports, identify trends, and then to be able to gain insights from the current and historical data that's available. And this is crucial for understanding past performance and then making informed decisions based on what's already happened. However, when it comes to forecasting and then planning for the future, there's a noticeable shift in the tools that businesses use. And despite the availability of advanced planning tools, many companies still rely heavily on Excel and spreadsheets for budgeting and financial planning. And this approach often leads to the creation of multiple versions of the same document. And you can see on screen there is a list of budget files on the slide. And managing these multiple versions can be very challenging for finance teams and very time consuming as well. And it's not uncommon when we have conversations to see that finance teams see a lot of files labeled with various different iterations, versions 1, 2, final versions. And this can be very, very difficult to manage ultimately. So I guess where we're going, the goal is to streamline this process by integrating more robust planning and forecasting tools that can work together with existing systems. And then by doing so, we're going to try to reduce the reliance on spreadsheets, minimize that version control issues, and then provide a more accurate and timely insights into the future of a business. And essentially that's Jedox. That's what we're trying to fix here. So I just want to, again, take a moment to look at the common challenges and break down the traditional process of a planning cycle. And many of you, on the call now will recognize this process. It starts on the left here with, creating templates, loading data manually, then distributing those sheets across different departments, different teams. Then comes the back and forth. Adjustments have to be made. Different scenarios need to be modeled. Analysis needs to be done on top of that. And then, of course, you have to consolidate all the different results. But the problem is, submissions get lost. Progress is really hard to track amongst the different teams. And data collection becomes a full-time job for finance, essentially. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, you can imagine the same process. This is with Jedox, but it's streamlined. So Jedox replaces those fragmented steps with a centralized planning model. Reporting becomes instant, scenario and analysis happens in real time, online, progress is visible at a glance, data integrates seamlessly, and stakeholders are notified automatically from the start of the process to the very finish. And Jedox, what we're trying to do, we're trying to remove the mess and keep everything aligned and everyone aligned. So that's a little bit of a recap of the challenges in the planning cycle and how we're trying to address them. This is just a bit of a thought-provoking slide, but we just want to recap that Jedox is a very versatile platform that supports a wide range of planning and analysis used across different teams. So finance, HR with workforce management, maybe looking at salary planning. You have sales planning use case, maybe looking at territory plans and revenue planning models. Then, of course, you have operational aspects, supply chain, IT, and governance. So we really do extend just beyond the traditional mindset of FP&A. Of course, a lot of the conversations that we have with businesses, it always starts with finance, because they're the owner of the company's budgeting process. But of course, it does seem to branch out to different departments and different use cases as well. And then finally, just before we jump into the demo, I wanted to kind of spread the message that Jedox is an end-to-end platform for all your planning needs. And a key advantage for Jedox is that we offer a scalable solution. and that includes all the necessary components to build a successful planning solution. So this means, starting at the bottom and going up, we've got components for integration and automation. Jedox has a built-in ETL layer, meaning that we can connect to any source system, whether it's ERP, CRM, data lakes, data warehouses. It's possible to pull that data in and it be bi-directional. On top of that, we've got included in the system itself modeling and strong collaboration functionality. And then, of course, it's a user experience offers a lot of variety for our customers, whether it's the Excel add-in. A lot of our finance teams are comfortable in that space, or maybe our operational teams from the customer side, they like using the web browser interface. And more recently, we do have a mobile interface as well, so you can input numbers and approve budgets on the go. And I'm not going to cover all these elements right now. I'm going to leave some of that to my colleague Shahrear from Solution Advisory to cover in the short demo. But again, it's important to note that we want to make sure you don't have to purchase multiple solutions to reach the one goal. And we believe in offering that one end-to-end solution that can help you achieve all your goals for dashboarding, reporting, planning, and much more as well. So with that being said, I just want to hand over to Shahrear for the demo. And we'll spend the next 20 minutes having a little bit of a closer look into the solution.
Thank you, Michael. Michael, can you see my screen?
Believe so, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So in this session, so what Chris mentioned, I just want to echo that point that today we are literally covering the tip of the iceberg. Jedox is a modeling tool. Pretty much you can model anything within the business, and it covers all your business requirements. So not only your planning, your reporting, but if you want to run, say, strategic analysis and so forth, it covers all those points. So in this session, I will show you a very high level of some of the capabilities within Jedox. So we will look at some of the business insights, some of the dashboarding capability, look at integrated planning, so how Jedox helps you to build that business digital twin, where what Michael was mentioning, that multiple business processes, multiple departments within your organization, how they don't work in a siloed environment, but now they are collaborating and bringing all those brains into one within a process. Then we look at in terms of how we can help you improve your forecast accuracy, and also at a very high level things like scenario planning. What Michael mentioned, in this volatile environment, we need to be very agile with any sort of macroeconomic changes. So we look at how Jedox can support that as well. But let's start by looking at an integrated P&L, and here what you see is an P&L where you're doing a comparison with your actual forecast and budget. So the actual values are directly pulling from your ERP. So Jedox again has a very strong integration capability, so it doesn't really matter what ERP system you're using, you're able to pull that data within Jedox. So here what we see is our actuals, which has been populated from the ERP, and doing a comparison, so doing a variance analysis just to understand how the company is performing, or any sort of changes that has an impact within the business. This is dynamic, where on the fly you can start to compare with multiple versions. Here I'm just doing 3+9, but I can change it to 6+6. And so forth. Well, at the moment, you see the values are exactly the same for 3+9 or 6+6, is because we haven't done the forecast. We will show you how to do the forecast, but here at the moment, we see there's nothing within our budget. So the idea is to show you how a budget cycle would look like when you're using Jedox. Just to give you a visual representation, so Michael did cover this slide, but I think this gives you a bit more context, where you have your multiple processes, such as the sales, HR, and so forth. And what happens is all those processes is embedded with workflow. And this is quite powerful, because this gives you a full transparency and audit trail of who is doing what at what time and what stages is pending and so forth. So once all those process is completed, it takes us to the next level, In this case, as an example, we have cost center and all your financials within your process. So there's the financial consolidation, cash flow, balance sheet gets reflected within your P&L, which means that whenever you're looking at a P&L, you know that all the data is up to date and you're not looking at some old data and so forth. So which always gives you a better understanding to make those strategic decisions. So let's have a look at how a budget process looks like. So within Jedox, so currently we see that the budget is 0. And what you have is workflow that is embedded within your solution. So you can have multiple workflows, whether you are running a budget for sales or say cost center or in any process within your business, you can have workflow. In this situation, in this example, I'm just going to cover a sales budget process, but the idea here is you have the full visibility. So what I mentioned before is you can have different levels of workflow, whether it's 2 levels of approval, 3 levels. The system gives you the complete flexibility to define whatever levels you want. From there, so let's say in this case, we have data entry stage, revised stage, and so forth. And what you see is who was assigned to submit the budget. So you have the time and the user details. And the way it works is when you kickstart the workflow, the email notification gets sent. In the interest of time, I already kickstarted the workflow. And here you see email notification, and these are email notifications that get sent to all those individual planners or all those individual contributors of the budget. So in this case, I have Stephen, and is one of the sales planner, and there's a link to a report. When I click on the link, it takes me to Stephen's screen, so I can see Stephen's user and his details. So I can log in as Stephen, and what you see is, first of all, with Stephen, since he is just a planner and is not involved in any other processes within the business, he only sees this particular report where he will be entering his budget. And also, when you look at the customer, he has a very restricted view. So Jedox supports the complete user access and control, which means that in an Excel environment, as in a typical situation, let's say doing a budget process, you may have an Excel file that gets circulated among multiple stakeholders. They're entering their numbers within their certain section, and there's sometimes their formulas and so forth, and there's always that chance of tampering those formulas. The data is not live. There's so many issues with Excel, and I don't want to go too much into that. You guys already know. But here, what we can see is the same report, but in this case, Stephen is only seeing his portion of the budget. And like other planners, they will see only their portion of the budget. So we only give rights to those people who are assigned to do that particular task. So not everyone will have access to see all those information. So let's say Stephen wants to enter some numbers, and what we can help you is give you a lot of automation within your process. So for example, Stephen doesn't want to start keying the numbers from 0, but what he wants to do is use certain drivers. So what you see is data validation, and Jedox can help you bring hyper automation within your process. So in this case, there was a target which was set by the company from a top level, and Stephen can use that number as a starting point. And what we can see that Stephen's budget based on the target has already been populated. So here, based on his experience, Stephen's experience, he can start to make some changes. Let's say he wants to increase it by 15% for that particular product. And the way it works within Jedox is you can plan at any level. So I can make changes at this level, and based on the OLAP technology, the way it works is it goes to the top level as well. So let's say if I increase it by 5K, you'll be able to see that changes at the top as well. So let's say, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but let's say Stephen is happy with his budget, and that's the number, 8.8 million, and he wants to submit his budget. What he can do is he kickstarts the workflow, and let's say done, and he submits the budget, and instantly, when you see this particular report, you can see that it is locked. So now Stephen has not doesn't have any access to make any changes since it's already been submitted. So now what will happen is the approver will now get a notification in his email, and he can come to this screen where if I just refresh my screen, I can start to see some movement. So now I can see that the budget has been submitted, and now the approver will have to review it. And you can also see the commentary here. So in this case, the approver can go and see that report, but just for the interest of time, I just want to complete the process. So since I have the right, I can complete all the levels. So let's say good for approval, approve level 1, and finalize, let's say. So budget has been submitted, and throughout the process, I have audit history, so I can see that admin started the workflow, Stephen entered some numbers, and so forth. When I come here, I can see that the budget has been submitted, which means that the sales budget for that portion of the budget is been completed, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. But you can also set up reminders where if people or planners haven't submitted their budget, they can also get reminders that please submit your budget, which you will also have full visibility. So when we come back to the integrated P&L, Jedox gives you automatic data flows, which means that within our budget now, if you remember, it was 0. So now we have 8.8 million populating instantly. In a real life situation, what will happen is this amount will only be populated when the full budget gets completed. But this is just as an example to show you. Let's focus on the forecasting piece now. So at the moment, we see these two numbers are the same, because what Jedox does is gives you version blending, which means that in order for you to improve your forecast accuracy, the system can automatically take the actual values here. So in this case, we're in the month of April, so takes the actual values for those 3 months, and it gives you the flexibility to start to forecast for the remaining 9 months. You can have any different types of drivers here. So in this case, I have copy budget, but you can also have average last 3 years, actual last 3 years, whatever is convenient, whatever is relevant for the business. So in this case, I can pre-populate the number. Again, we're doing a sales revenue forecast. So this is a simple calculation where business logic, where you have your units time price brings revenue, but you can have any different complex revenue calculations that is fully supported within Jedox. But this is just for you to understand. So let's say I've got the price, and now I have the revenue, which is 150 million. I can start to make some changes, and what the system supports is gives you the flexibility around parallel modeling, where here I have the flexibility. So the way I have modeled the data is I can plan on a customer level, and because of the relationship I have with the product and services, I can also, the numbers get populated automatically. So in this case, I can plan here, let's say I can increase it by 10%. And what you will see is based on where it will have to distribute among customers, the same number would populate here and at the top level as well. So now when I enter here, so you can see that 27,000, you have the same number here and at the top as well. I can plan same thing. I can plan at any levels I want to. You have seen me using things like hash and so forth. And we know that someone who's new using Jedox will not know all those functionality. So within your planning templates, what you have are planning assistants. And basically, this is very good for new users, where you have the list of all the different capabilities or functionalities, and there's a little description to tell you what that particular functionality does, which means that whenever you're forecasting or whenever you're planning, it gives you that additional confidence that you're making the right changes and not affecting any other places and so forth. And also the problems which you have on Excel is you may have different formulas embedded on those reports, where in Jedox, all those different formulas, in this case, it's one of the business logic which we looked at, unit times price brings revenue, is this particular business logic is stored within the database, and only the right access users will be able to make those changes and so forth. So again, it gives you an additional security and additional confidence that the report doesn't get tampered, what we see on Excel. Anyways, in this case, what we see is we have the gross revenue, which is the new gross revenue, which is 151 million. And at all the stages, what Jedox offers is audit trail, which means that if there's any sort of changes that that happens within so I think it's the number of units, happens within your report, you can have a full audit trail of that. So time, which user made some changes, what amount, what function was stored, and so forth. And this is really powerful, especially when you're facing auditors and when they're asking a whole lot of questions. You have full history of what exactly happened within the process, and you can just provide information to them. You can export all those changes as well in a separate report where you have full information in one place. So in here, now when I go back to the integrated P&L, and now you can see that our new forecast, which we just did, 151 million, is instantly populating here. Jedox also supports any sort of scenario planning capability. And let's say here, instead of budget, let's focus on best case. We haven't done any scenario planning. I can quickly jump and show you an example how Jedox can help you with running multiple what-if analysis. In this case, let's say you want to run some scenario planning and you want to add some initiative, upsell or downsell initiatives to see the impact within your P&L, as an example. So as a starting point, let's say you are using actual previous year as your baseline value. So here I'm starting to create 3 different scenarios: strategic best and worst. And now, as part of the macroeconomic changes within the business, you want to start to add different initiative. What happens within the business if you add a new key account? So I can see that someone within the organization did some planning and they came up with this particular number, 11.2 million. I think the number is not right. Maybe I can increase it by another 15%, which instantly reflects here. Let's say within the best scenario, I can use some cross-selling opportunity. And now let's say for worst scenario, we know that there's an issue with inflation and interest rates. So let's say we put that within our strategic what-if analysis within the worst case. And now I can instantly simulate that in a P&L sort of where one version which was done based on AI. We're not covering that today, but others which we just did it right now, strategic best and worst. And you can also see this in a dashboard type of format where you have all those relevant KPIs which you monitor on a regular basis, and then you can see that how that is reflecting in a graphical manner, something which is very easy for you to understand. Also with dashboards like this, you also have the capability to drill by. So like, for example, in this case, I'm looking at the total revenue on a monthly level, but I want to get a breakdown of that. I can do cross drill. I can do any level of slicing and dicing on an ad hoc basis to have a better understanding of my numbers. So just to give you a recap, what we covered today is we started with integrated planning, where pretty much you can remove all those silo processes within the business, have everything in one place, and all those processes embedded with workflow. And the value you get is now you have a better streamlined budgeting process with enhanced transparency and increased automated processes within your business. So we also looked at forecasting example where the system gives you the capability to improve your forecast accuracy with version blending. There's that data validation, and a lot of pre-built logic which you can incorporate within your forecasting to enhance your forecast accuracy, but also to give you that flexibility that you can run reforecast quite frequently. And this basically saves you a lot of time and helps you to make those better decisions very quickly. We looked at scenario planning as well, and this is a simple example, what if analysis for strategic planning, but you can pretty much have multiple scenarios side by side for you to do various analysis to see the business impact, where you can start to add different initiatives, add different drivers within your process, which gives you a better understanding to plan ahead. And finally, just to summarize what you saw today is at a very high level, what we covered today is Jedox is a very powerful modeling tool. It has a lot of similarities on Excel, which means that easy adoption to Jedox. It integrates with any source system. You're able to integrate your business process, saves a lot of time. And most importantly, the value you get is it brings you a lot of automation. It gives you a lot of flexibility and make those fast and accurate planning decisions. And most importantly, like I mentioned, that since there are a lot of similarities with Excel in terms of logic in the back end, it is very simple for Excel users to very easily adopt Jedox with very little training. So thank you so much for your time. That's what I wanted to cover today. Thank you. I think I pass it to Chris.
Yes, cheers, Shahrear. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Perfect. Okay, before we get into the Q&A, I'm just going to touch on the upcoming events. Please do remember to add your questions to the Q&A chat panel, and we'll cover those in a moment. So while people look at and start typing in their questions, touch on a couple of upcoming events. So our next webinar will be covered on the 27th of May. That will look at the Click Connect highlights, which happens in a couple of weeks now. And we'll just recap on all the latest and greatest messaging and innovations that the team see, witness, and can reflect on within that session. In addition, we've also got a Jedox event, so related obviously to what we've shown today. We've got the Jedox Elevate Roadshow, which takes place on Thursday, the 15th of May. So if you do intend to come along, please do feel free to reach out and let us know, because we'll be there as well. And on that note, we'll slide across into the Q&A. So thanks again, just quickly to Shahrear and Michael for covering that today's session. Before we let you go, though, let me see where we are with questions. So it looks like people are being a little bit shy. So what I've got is a couple of questions that we typically get asked during our demos and conversations with prospects. So something we didn't touch on today was integration with Excel. Can we use Excel to feed into some of these budgets and that process? Michael, Shahrear, I don't know who's best to.
Yeah, I'll take over. So yes, the answer is the short answer. So Jedox has an Excel add-in. We didn't cover that in the actual demonstration part, but it's one of the interfaces where you can plug Jedox into. Essentially, the main advantage of that is that you're going to be providing a centralized database, but also you're going to have that Excel interface for like a familiar environment for our finance users. So essentially, yes, you can on that one.
Okay, perfect.
And
for those,
Chris, sorry to add. I mean, I just wanted to add a bit more. So it's like seamless integration, and you can write back. So because of what Michael mentioned, because of the Excel add-in, it is live on the database. So if you make some changes on Excel, it writes back to the database, and it reflects with your dashboard or any reporting template on the web, or even your mobile interface and so forth.
Perfect. And for those that are experiencing that kind of Excel chaos where they've got multiple versions, hundreds of different versions often during that planning cycle, how difficult is it to migrate from Excel to Jedox? What does that kind of typically entail?
Yeah, so I mean, Jedox is designed with Excel users in mind. So it even, again, we mentioned again the Excel add-in for that familiar environment. But in terms of the migration, if you're thinking about moving, there's kind of 3 stages that we look at. So of course, the first bit would be the data mapping. So our consultancy team would help you structure your existing models and get them into Jedox, into that centralized planning system. The second part is the automated imports. Now, again, we didn't cover too much on the demo, but Jedox is really powerful around its data integration capabilities. It's got that built-in ETL. So we have a lot of native pre-built connectors to ERP, CRMs, and flat files, so we can pull in from any source system. And then finally, there's a training element to it. So most users can adapt very quickly thanks to the Excel-like interface, and we offer a lot of pre-built templates and pre-configured templates, and support you through that transition from that migration from Excel only into Jedox.
Perfect. That sounds good. And lastly, how does Jedox ensure data security, governance versus just sticking with the typical Excel?
Yeah. So I mean, again, I think Shahrear demoed a few aspects of this, especially around role-based access controls. I think he was able to show how we can limit the view and the edit capabilities of certain sets of data depending on what that user's role is. What we didn't show on the security side is also, all the data that's inputted in Jedox and used in the models can be encrypted, whether it's in transit from source system to Jedox or vice versa, or potentially at rest. And then finally, you've got user accountability. So any changes that are made within certain models or reports, you've got the kind of the built-in capability for audit logs. So every change is tracked. You could add commentary on that to explain justification of the changes. So instead of using Jedox where it's kind of Excel where it's unprotected, there's files kind of emailing around to different teams and not very secure. There's definitely a security or more secure environment to plan in with Jedox.
Perfect. And then touching on what Shahrear mentioned during the demo, it's also making sure that people aren't tampering with those expressions, the formula, and potentially causing a bit of a headache during that planning process as well. So perfect. And then the last one I'll just kind of finalize is if you are interested in a demo, a bespoke one tailored to your particular planning process, please do feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to get those booked in. So on that point, we'll call it a day and we'll finish there. So thanks again, Shahrear, Michael, for joining us today. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.